Hey everybody, Jake here. Welcome back to Movie Smoothie, where today we're doing a little review of Rick and Morty Season 6, Episode 1, Solaricks. I'm very excited to get into this, but before we do that, if you guys can like this video and subscribe to this channel, I would greatly appreciate that. One human being to another. Unless, of course, you are a Digestibot. In that case, from one human to a robot watching content on the internet for some reason. But anyways, getting into this review, before I do that, of course, I do want to talk a little bit about where to watch this episode. See a lot of people across the internet just being like, what the heck, I can't find this thing anywhere. And they promised us that maybe it would be on HBO Max or Hulu the next day. Maybe is not exactly a promise, unfortunately, though, and I'm still not seeing it at the time of this video being recorded. So it's not on HBO Max or Hulu yet, although I will say how I watched it last night was on Hulu Live, which is apparently how you could watch it, and also just on Adult Swim if you have cable. But not too many people have cable nowadays, so it's kind of difficult to watch this. Hopefully it's going to be on there at some point today. It's being advertised that it would be on there the next day. Like I said, haven't seen anything yet. I just checked HBO Max and Hulu, but maybe by the time you're watching this, it's on there. So hopefully, fingers crossed. Getting into this episode, though, of course, immediately, right from the get-go, we get ourselves just picking up right where we left off, essentially, with a nice Marvel reference, talking about Iron Man in space when he's dying at the beginning of Endgame and he gets saved by Captain Marvel. We essentially get this same scene, but Rick and Morty style, of course. Rick gives us a bit of a meta joke, even saying, like, I want to do that thing like the guy from the dude from space, you know? I want, just like in the movie. Why aren't you writing this down, Morty? And it's pretty funny, but a line that comes after that I feel like is way more vivid and important and kind of interesting. Morty has this line where he's kind of referencing the fact that Rick is very meta. And it's almost like maybe this is something that's going to play into the overall plot of the show, which is something we saw a lot in this episode. Obviously, we didn't touch on it in Season 6, Episode 1, but I feel like we could in the future. Morty has this line where he says, when you pretended to not know who Iron Man was, who was that for? And then Rick's just like, it's nothing. Don't worry. Like, just come here. We're gonna fucking die. I really think that this is playing off of a theory that we learned a long time ago. I can't remember where this came from, but it's a theory that essentially says that Rick breaks the fourth wall because he knows he's in a cartoon and he's seen other realities where that's not the case, where it's just like live action, it's real people. And this is just one of the many infinite dimensions where he's just a cartoon. This could be in reference to that, I think. I feel like maybe they're going to reveal that later on. This is not going to be something that gets revealed until like a season 10 or something in the future. So I don't think we're going to get that this season, but they could be already kind of setting that up here. Nothing new for Rick and Morty. They've set up things like this in the past. I mean, the reveal at the end of season 5 was that Morty, and actually it's a reveal kind of more in this episode essentially, is that our Rick is not Morty's Rick. I guess it's kind of revealed to us in season 5 because you see Rick coming in. There's like that shot where you're watching through his memories and like Rick comes in and picks up a baby Morty. But we also get that scene in season 2, episode 5, I believe, the Get Swifty episode, where Morty is on Bird Person's planet and he says something like, who's that baby? And he's looking at this picture of Rick holding up a baby Morty. It's very clearly a baby Morty. The baby is even wearing like a yellow shirt, has the brown hair and all that. So it makes you, so this was kind of something they've been setting up for a while. My point is, Rick and Morty is no stranger to setting up things like that early on and then having it be a big reveal later on in a future season. So we could possibly see that revealed to us sometime soon. I don't think every secret about Rick has been unveiled yet. As we learned from this episode when we find out, yes, he's not the same Rick as the one to Morty. This is so tough because there's so many Ricks and Mortys and Beths and Jerrys, especially in this episode. It's crazy to keep track of. It's awesome. But we also get some more Marvel references with this little like a vending machine that has Wolverine claws in it, Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, and also a Magneto helmet, which is nice. We actually see Summer in action with the Wolverine claws, which is cool. I wish I had those gloves. I could just put those on and have Wolverine claws. That'd be freaking awesome. I would lose my mind for that. But I will say another big positive about this, something that Rick and Morty does really well, is when they have these 3 plot lines going that all kind of weave and intersect, but they're all just written so well, and they're nice little sci-fi plots all the way around. The first one is Rick with the voice of his dead wife going around the house, and he apparently made himself haunted to torture himself in his real dimension, which is crazy. We get that, of course, after he hijacks some portal fluid and accidentally sends everybody back to their original dimensions, which I think is it's a really cool plot line, because we get to learn a lot, not just about Rick, but also about Jerry, who apparently is not from this dimension and actually got swapped at the Jerry Baree back in season 2. And we get to see a really funny reveal with him when he's just like having his real family scream at him and all that in his own dimension, and he hates it. He's like, oh my god, man, we did not get this right here, which I just think that's so funny. That's a real reveal we get towards the end, obviously, but and actually not one of the plot lines, surprisingly. But one of the other plot lines is Morty going and finding Hermit Jerry, which I guess is the term for the original Jerry from like season 1, who of course is like after the Cronenberg episode where everyone kind of turns into a big monster. This is the Jerry who's just still alive in this dimension. Unfortunately, Summer and Beth were still alive the last time we checked in on them in season 3, but they are dead now, according to Jerry, which is played for a lot of crazy dark humor in this episode, I think. It's once again just this is probably one of my favorite subplots of the episode, just because of how crazy it is to see that, like, a crazy mistake that Rick made all the way back in season 1 still affecting the plotline of Rick and Morty here way in the future in season 6. I think this was really cool and really smart. I loved this episode, by the way. I know we're 6 minutes into this review, but I was a massive fan of this one. Not only was it cool to play around with the canon in the wide scope that it did here with all 3 of these plot lines, but it was so funny, which we're going to talk about the humor and how I feel like they really changed it up in this episode, which I liked too. But the third timeline is also deals with both of the Beths, the clone Beth and Space Beth and Summer, and how they are dealing with the whole family situation. I think it's kind of cool. It's nice how we have this, how Space Beth is kind of like a new character, a new component to the family. Once again, this is really complex and crazy at this point. Rick and Morty is only for the most smart and not for my stoner brain to try to understand, of course. I kid, of course, but I actually really like this dynamic. I like that Space Beth is going to pop up every now and then. Like I said, we have that episode coming up soon that's probably going to be about Space Beth heavily and deal with some kind of situation there. And the end of this episode kind of teases that a little bit with Space Beth saying, is it okay if I come around every once in a while and check in on the family? And they kind of make that deal, and yeah, the Beths kind of make up a little bit here, and they're working together now as a family unit. It's nice. It's actually a pretty happy ending, considering how morbid it is that they all have to bury their dead selves. But I also love that this episode sets up an evil Rick now, so it's kind of like through seasons 1 through 5, we were dealing with evil Morty as the big bad, but now we're dealing with an evil Rick, with much more of a focus too. Evil Morty was always kind of in the background ever since he was introduced at the end of season 1, and I kind of appreciate that now we're going to have this focus on evil Rick. Do I think evil Morty is gone though? No. I mean, they showed us that golden portal for a purpose. I want to know what's on the other end of that. They are definitely going to give us that reveal at some point. Evil Morty will return. We're definitely not done with him, but I think we're going to be focusing on evil Rick for a little while, and hopefully our Rick can kill him at some point. Honestly, I know this is like a silly adult animated show, but it's going to be so satisfying if he actually does kill evil Rick. I can't even begin to tell you how satisfying that'll be, considering how much setup there's been with this. One last thing I want to talk about. I love that setup, by the way. I love that we're doing this in the back half of these seasons, the next 5 seasons, hopefully focus on evil Rick. I think that'll be a really nice parallel from the first 5 seasons of the show. But another big thing I wanted to talk about, a big change that I found and I really enjoyed about this episode, was the change up of the humor. It wasn't your stereotypical, like, not every joke was meta, not every joke was some kind of sci-fi crazy related thing. It was a lot simpler and kind of anti-humor, like kind of diving into that aspect a little more. Edging into that, we have this joke, we have the Mr. Frundles joke, which is of course basically a ripoff of like some stuff from the past. I still really enjoyed it, and they can do this joke a million times if it's in the form of Mr. Poopy Butthole, in the form of Noob or Mr. Always Wants to Be Hunted. They could do this a million times, and I'm still gonna I'm just gonna crack up every single time. It's great. It's very funny, especially here. Mr. Frundles just bites everything and basically is super infectious and turns the entire planet into one big Mr. Frundles. I think it's great, hilarious, it's very funny stuff here. But then we also have some more anti-humor stuff, like the Digestabot, who, like, this whole joke is such like anti-humor weird shit that I just was not expecting. And I found it really funny. You have this scene where Beth comes out with a bunch of sandwiches for Rick and Morty after they get back from the spaceship that they were just stranded on for an unprecedented amount of time. And it's like, oh wait, we can't do that. It's gonna shock our systems if we take in too much carbs. Let's have it be digested by Digestibot and have it turned into nutrient paste. Tasty stuff. So Digestibot does that, gives it to Morty, and it looks like a little piece of poop, and he starts eating it, and then Rick's just like, I'm gonna risk it. Like, that is just so funny to me. That's so like, what a gut punch. Jesus. Like, Rick's such a jerk here. It's so funny. And then he's even telling the bot, he's like, oh, try these tomatoes. These are so good. Tasty. And Morty's just like has this really disappointed face. It's a really nice joke. Towards the end too, we have a joke that we actually don't even hear, but it's really funny because Morty walks in with his family and says, what a funny joke I just told, while all of them are laughing. And then there's just this moment of silence. It's such anti-humor. Like, it's great. I really love a lot of the jokes in this. Parmesan instead of Parmesan. That's the one thing they're bothered by this new dimension that they had to go to at the end. It's great. I really like the direction that they're taking this new season, and if season 6 can stay like this, it's going to be one of the better seasons. I already like this a lot better than some of the episodes in season 5. I got to be honest. It just felt way more focused. All the stuff they did with the canon was really cool, and the jokes really landed for me. This is one of the better episodes of Rick and Morty, honestly. I really liked where they're taking it. Hopefully the whole season's like this too. I'm super excited for the next episode. That's going to be a Die Hard parody with Summer. We got that teased to us in the trailer. Can't wait for that next week. I'll be doing a video on that the Monday after as well. Make sure to stay tuned for that. But thank you guys so much for watching this, and make sure to peace out.